the Britney Spears and Jamie Lynn Spears situation, which to me, I read this stuff, and as fascinating as it is, I have like, you're the one giving me philosopher quotes today. I have a lot, I don't take issue with talking about it. I take issue with not examining it beyond the scope of just their own back and forth struggles and pain and suffering, right?
For sure.
There has to be some introspection when you talk about this stuff, because as fascinating as it is, it becomes junk food for your mind if you're not careful. So it's and this is really like, when we're talking Kanye West, we're talking like you're just watching an awful divorce play out in public. I'm the product of a divorce at the age of 12 years old, or a separation at the age of 12. Yeah. So like I'm sure a lot of people in our generation are. So it's like, how and my parents did a fairly decent job of, like, when they split up, not I kind of took advantage of it. Like when my mom was mad at me, I'd just go stay with my dad. And when my dad was mad at me, I'd just go stay with my mom.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah. So seeing all this stuff happen, I have to at least look at it a little bit deeper. Otherwise, I feel ghoulish. So this article is from E! News and says Britney Spears tells Jamie Lynn Spears, "I love you," after her sister's feud intensifies. Now, there's a lot of I have a lot of cynicism as well when it comes to stuff like this. So it says, are Britney Spears and Jamie Lynn Spears headed down toward a reconciliation? Following a fresh online war of words amid an ongoing feud, the toxic singer shared another lengthy and emotional tweet to her estranged sister, who recently angered her with comments made on an ABC interview about their rift. The singer's recently terminated conservatorship and her alleged past behavior. Jamie Lynn Spears spoke to the press to promote her new memoir, The Things I Should Have Said, which is set to be released on January 18th. Jamie Lynn, I don't think your book is about me at all. I said some harsh things because what you said obviously hurt me, but the things you were making... Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to restart that. I said some harsh things because you obviously hurt me by the things you were making up about me. When I said a scum person would make things up like that up about someone, I could have sworn I said, but you are not. Britney, age 40, tweeted on January 15th. Following Jamie Lynn's interview, Britney penned a tweet to her sister on January 14th, writing, "Now and only now. I do know only a scum person would make up such things about someone. I'm actually very confused about you making that up because it's honestly not like you at all." So they seem very confused. They seem very quick to anger. And to do this all digitally is even worse, right? So it says, in her latest tweet, Britney wrote to Jamie Lynn, age 30, quote, "I know you worked hard for the life you have, and you have done amazing." Like 9 exclamation marks. "But I think we have to both agree that the fact that the family has never been remotely as hard on you as they have been on me. What Dad did to me, they don't even do to criminals. So for you to sit back and act completely aloof to what has happened is honestly insane to me." In November, a judge terminated Britney's conservatorship, which had controlled her finances and personal life for 13 years. Most of that time, her and Jamie Lynn's dad, Jamie Spears, had largely been in control of the arrangement. Earlier in 2021, Britney spoke out against him, the rest of her family, and what they said about her abusive conservatorship. Jamie Lynn's lawyers had said in a court filing submitted more than a week ago about the conservatorship was terminated that the woman's dad, quote, "has always and always will have Britney's best interests at heart, and that the conservatorship was necessary to protect Britney. Adding her life was in shambles and she was in physical, mental, and emotional distress. Physical, mental, emotional, and financial distress." So, I mean, that's not untrue of the time. Granted, we only get to see a bird's eye view in a very, very tiny increment of what is actually going on in their lives.
Yeah, for sure.
But if that is any indication as to what was going on behind the scenes, that is true of what was going on back then. But then we get into the debate of, like, is it freedom versus it's your right as a sovereign adult with free will to ruin your life in whichever way you want to ruin your life, right? And then I almost feel like the sister gets caught in the middle because her name is similar to her dad's. Like when I was younger, I had no idea Jamie Lynn and Jamie were different people. So like imagine that. So
she's unfortunate to have two names.
Yeah. And it says, so then after Britney Spears accuses her of being a scum person, Jamie Lynn Spears fires back. Britney Spears has been engaged in a public and pretty nasty feud with her younger sister, Jamie Lynn, in the months since her conservatorship ended. The social media spat has turned particularly ugly since Jamie Lynn started speaking out in promotion of her memoir. With both sisters accusing each other of making up stories, the younger Spears has now fired back again at her older sister, Britney calling her at her older sister Britney calling her a scum person, which disputed the things that Jamie said, I almost did it again, that Jamie Lynn said about her. Britney, just call me. I've attempted many times to speak to you directly and handle this privately like sisters should, but you still choose to do this on a public platform. In the meantime, please stop continuing the narrative that I haven't been there for you or that I'm making things up. I'm happy to share how many times I've reached out to you, supported you, and tried to help. This is embarrassing and has to stop. Love you. She comes off as the more rational person right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the other person isn't right to their anger, but at least she's coming off as the person who's like looking at like, we're both damaged. It's either very cold and calculating, and they both know that this drives up numbers and keeps eyes on them, or one of them is looking, I want to do this in private, and the other person is saying, no, I want to do this publicly.
Mm-hmm. But why is the one sister forcing this conversation into the public sphere?
Yeah.
That's the question that I have.
So the question is, Britney keeps pushing it into the public sphere, and she's saying, and this is the one, theoretically, Jamie Lynn is the one with the book out right now. Mm-hmm. She's the one who should be encouraging this to be done on a public platform for the sake of book sales, but she's not. I mean, this could still very well be, you still make this tweet and know very well it's not going to actually cause that, and it makes you look like the better person.
Right.
But that just brings me back to my point. The cynicism of all this. Seeing all this stuff play out in the public sphere. Like, how morbid and depressing. Like, in the world we live in today where you can't even fight with your family in private.
Nope, because there's always eyes and ears everywhere.
And it's one would say it's part of being a celebrity, right? Like they don't really have the same expectation of privacy that the rest of us have, but that doesn't make it any better. Not for them.
That's true.
It translates to money better for them than me beefing with some family member on Facebook.
Yeah, nobody really cares about Brett Dosovic.
Thank you for saying my last name. I appreciate it. And thank you for saying it wrong.
I know.
As usual.
I do that because I always pronounce the D-A. What?
Because you're annoying?
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, nobody will care about us because we're not that level yet.
I don't ever want to be at any level like that. But I'm saying, like, the average person will fight with their family with no monetary incentive on social media. So imagine if there is financial incentive to do so.
Yeah.
But what's necessarily the financial incentive here from Britney's point of view? And she's the one that's forcing it out there.
Think she's not going to make music again? Think this won't keep her relevant?
I don't know. She claims that she's has been making tons of music. She just hasn't been able to release it.
Okay, so think she won't find a way to release it in future?
I don't know, but is a Feud really going to fuel future sales? I mean, she's already notorious.
Free Britney movement brought a lot of people together that would that I believe translates to a lot of album sales.
So a public beef with her sister is just going to accelerate that.
Especially if it drives into the narrative that she was mistreated. And it looks like she was. But then we're not talking about the dad anymore. We're talking about the sister. So both of them benefit financially from this. People will buy the book out of morbid curiosity. And Britney will sell albums because people support her right to freedom, because she absolutely has that right to freedom. So I think my belief in the more ghoulish side of human nature believes that both can monetize this.
Do you think they're aware of that?
That's
so it's just kind of like enemies shaking hands kind of thing?
Maybe Kim Kardashian and her family has like a book, How to Start Family Drama, to monetize.
That's not outside the realm of possibility for people.
But
at
it's
this level.
only sold to celebrities. Like people like us will never see it unless we hit that level.
It's got an Illuminati symbol on the top.
Exactly. Oh, I like that a lot. That's really cool.
Produced by the Bilderberg Group. But to me, I just feel like when I read this stuff, it makes me more interested in the business aspect of these industries, because as we know, these industries are a very glossy veneer of very, very treacherous behavior. A lot of times, these industries are very cutthroat. They're very abusive, and they're very controlling about celebrities and the way things are going. There's a dark side to Hollywood that will likely never see a mass-produced light of day, because the people producing mass scene light of day material is the industry in question. So we can support Free Britney, which I do, and I don't think she should have ever been under conservatorship outside of the realm that she was physically harming herself. In that case, she shouldn't have been performing music and allowed to keep making money that her dad got to control. But in this case, I just have a hard time seeing this, maybe because I'm jaded, and not seeing this as something where maybe she writes it out, and if there wasn't the incentive, she's like, I'll send her a text instead. But she's like, I do have a book out in a couple of days. Like, I just have a hard time believing that instinct isn't there, especially for people who've been in these industries as long as they have.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I see a lot of the posts from Britney on Instagram, and it just seems like she's on a kind of an anarchist streak.
She is.
Of kinds.
She is.
And I love it.
But a targeted back and forth with the sister is not the same thing. And also, anarchism can be very calculated when it's coming from the position of somebody making specific posts at specific times and releasing things to carefully construct an image. You are now saying that she's on an anarchist streak because of what she's released. How do you know that those weren't cold, calculated decisions in what she decided to release?
I sense an unpredictable person that finally is getting some sort of whiff of whatever freedom that she's been denied.
For the most part, I agree. That it's somebody who's, like you said, catharsis, finally has that freedom and is releasing it. But like I said, this industry is drilled into them from a young age that this is all stuff that, and maybe they don't know, but it's just a happy accident that they will later be able to monetize on. But it is there.
And I don't know, it's just, for me, it's not just necessarily the pictures that are posted, it's like the composition of the rants that accompany these pictures. It's just like, I don't know, she doesn't seem unhinged, she doesn't seem ill, but there does seem to be something there that is...
I've been waiting to type this out for a long time.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the meme of like, it's like two different personality types venting to you, and one it's like message, and one's just a very long...
Yeah.
And everybody's one type of that person. Which one are you?
Short, brief bursts of messages.
Bursts. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have those friends and family members that send the textbook.
Yeah.
And you're in trouble when it has that little arrow at the bottom of the message. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm clicking into like a Word document.
That's me
on my phone.
I'm not. I write the 10-page message because if I don't, I'll forget what I need to say next. But I also love the thing where a guy in a text, his wife says, "Calm down," and then you see the beep, the 3 dots clicking, and it's free. He says, "When you see this clicking for 15 minutes," and you say, "Whatever comes next, we will weather the storm."
That's good,
because it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
So I'm that person. I write because and the other funny thing is I'm an Android user and all my friends are iPhone users, so they get the message and it's like 5 different texts come because there is one block of text that gets sent as like.
You're that guy?
I'm that guy.
Oh, man.
I'm also that person too because I have an Android.
Yep. You're still the iPhone guy? Oh,
I've been the iPhone guy since the very first iPhone. I don't know how to use another phone at this point.
I had an iPhone from 2 to 5.
So our friend Sarah, she switched over to Android, so we have her, and she said it's so much better than iPhones.
Really?
Yeah.
Deal with it.
So deal with it. We're taking over because we can do multitasking.
Yeah, but in the group messages, you guys screw up the pictures. You guys screw up the videos.
Oh, the worst is like my friend will send me like a video through chat, and it's the pixel. It looks like a video of Bigfoot. No matter what it is.
Oh yeah, exactly.
That's the best.
Well, also we have that green bubble that everybody hates because iPhone users, they have the blue bubble.
Yeah,
and
they hate us with our green bubbles.
Yeah. Well, I think the green bubble looks really cute. It's a nice green. So screw it.
I got green behind me. That's the green bubble.
That's our green bubble. Buy Chris Carr with your iPhone.
Yes.
Because it breaks down like at least once a month. And you have to buy a new one.
That's true.
While ours, we can just chuck it against the wall. I have chucked it against the wall multiple times.
Also, you can buy the cheapest or you can buy the lowest storage and just put your expandable storage into your phone.
Yep.
So, though that's becoming less and less important now that cloud storage and phones come with like a gazillion gigs anyways. But at the end of this article, it says...
it's still fun.
Yes. It says, there's no doubt that the release of Jamie Lynn Spears' book is a sore spot for Britney. She trolled her sister for months over the book, particularly when the title was changed from I Must Confess, Family, Fame, and Figuring It Out to Things I Should Have Said. Those are both very telling titles.
Totally.
It's sad to see what's become of Britney and Jamie Lynn Spears' relationship, and only time will tell if they're able to work through the events in past that tore them apart. So, like, my hope is that we can get as manufactured as I feel all this is, my consumerist brain is like, no, I want a manufactured hug and a manufactured reunion and a manufactured tour together, where they then they go from pretending to fighting online to pretending to being friends, best friends again online, and then do a concert together where they pretend to like each other, and I'll be okay because I can just pretend it's real.
Yeah.
It's all fake in the end.
But But just because it's fake doesn't mean it's not true at a deeper level.
Yes.
That's
At least in
true.
terms of the narrative that's being presented.
Or what it means to you.
Or
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just entertaining.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there was one more. It says, I just thought this was funny. Jamie Lynn Spears not going on book tour. Didn't write this for the money.
Nice.
Okay. Like after you got all the publicity already, you got more publicity from doing this than you did, than you would from the book tour, I'm sure. Who the hell's going and hanging out at bookstores anymore?
Well,
Like at
they
least for
still
pop culture
exist.
books.
Right.
Like maybe for like if you're like a hoity-toity, I love my Kafka books and I love my Dostoevsky, but nobody's like I go hang out at is Barnes and Noble still a thing? Is
Yeah,
Borders,
Apparently,
certain places.
Borders
Yeah.
still a thing? Or your local bookstore that's been there for 100 years and you have no idea how it actually stays around is probably a front for like a Russian spy ring or something, right?
It's probably a front. I love that idea.
For like it's like a Russian spy, like it's like the guys who got left over from the Cold War just opened a bookstore. Jamie Lynn took a hard pass on doing a nationwide tour to promote her new book because she's not in it for the money. Also, she probably didn't want to answer the hard questions that people would hopefully ask her. So says sources connected to her, of course, because it's definitely not a source that's not connected to her. It's like it's her publicist. The source is probably her publicist.
The source is familiar with the way that she thinks.
Yes,
Yeah.
those are my favorites. Yeah. Those familiar with their state of mind. Our sources say Britney's little sis was approached about doing a book tour, but she was adamant it wasn't for her. Can you imagine like this company gives you like a 7-figure advance, and then they say the book tour is optional? Bull. Like this must have been worked out beforehand, or they found a way to make it financially beneficial for them, because there's no way like whatever publisher is making this is like, we're just gonna skip the advertising phase.
I don't know that book tours are really well. First of all, financially, they're a drain. At least from what I've heard from
Touring,
one of my favorite authors is Bret Easton Ellis, who wrote American Psycho, and I'm an adamant follower of his podcast, and he talks very often about the differences between being an author and doing book tours in the 90s versus that being totally obsolete now. Like that's just not really a thing. Like you still get like the David Sedaris book tour or stuff like that, but that's really just not something that happens anymore.
So what do they do instead?
Social media.
It's just digital
social media.
promotion.
Absolutely.
It's just digital promotion.
You don't have, and he actually did. Bret Easton Ellis did do a book tour a couple years ago, and he was just like, I mean, they threw him scraps. He was just like, this book tour was so awful.
Yeah.
I would never do this again.
Part of a dying. It's kind of like cons in the comic book industry. They're going the way of the dinosaur in a way because first of all, whatever we think of COVID or not, a lot of people are going to be hesitant to go and pack themselves into it so they can get so they can pay $50 for a Superman print from Brian Michael Bendis and Artist Alley when they can just support. They buy the comics. They talk to these people online. Comic book artists can be generally pretty awful to people on social media. So it's like cons feel like they're becoming a thing of the past more so, especially since in the comic book industry, nobody really they go there now for the movie announcement. Nobody goes to Comic-Con to actually meet the comic book artists. They go there to meet whatever shiny face celebrity is going to play that character in the next iteration of it from Marvel or DC.
Yeah,
in the new trailers, right?
Yeah, in the new trailers.
Also, YouTubers used to go to Comic-Cons too, so you get to meet them
And
once
cosplay.
in a while. Yeah.
And cosplay.
Yeah, you get to see a lot of boobas.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just book tours. Yeah, so she doesn't need to go on a book tour for this to do well. One could say that her back and forth Twitter battle with her sister was all the social media, was all the promotion she needed.
Yeah. Also, does anybody remember Jamie Lynn? Like nobody remembers her. I had to bring up Zoe 101 for some people to remember.
They're both Disney kids, right?
No, she was Nickelodeon.
It's probably a subsidiary of Disney at this point.
It probably is, yeah.
No,
Can you
they're
look
still separated.
See who owns Nickelodeon for us, will you?
No, but it's funny because like Britney started as like Disney, and then Jamie Lynn started as Nickelodeon, which is
that's what I really want to know, because I've been watching the Britney Spears documentaries, and I really want to know what happened at Disney, because
you'll never find
narrative,
out, man.
I know, but I need to know so bad. From what I understand, the narrative loosely is she was going into the city, she was traveling constantly, she was doing audition after audition, her mom was doing it. She finally got some success, and then she landed Disney. And then she said, you know what? I kind of just want to go back to being a regular girl again. Let's just go back to my hometown. I don't want to do this. I'm fine.
Her parents
what
like,
happened?
You are. Like, we spent all this money.
But
like,
what motivated that? Like, what happened at Disney? I want to know what happened to Britney Spears when she was working at Disney.
She was at Mickey
Mouse
Mouse
Club.
Club. And
with
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake was Ryan
Gosling.
He was in the same group, right?
Yep.
What happened? I gotta know.
they all drank the Kool-Aid, but hers was a little bit stronger because it was at the bottom.
Oh.
At the bottom.
We have a guest speaker today named Harvey Weinstein. There was a show called Mysteries of Laura. This is such an aside, but in this show, in 2014, there's this episode where they're like, it's Deborah Messing plays the main character, and Laz Alonso plays this cop, and they go to like this underground fight ring where this kid's filming a documentary with like his little handheld camera, and he's like, I'm in film school, and they're like, you can't be here. This fight is not allowed. He goes. He's like, Harvey Weinstein came and gave a speech at my classes at Tisch and said, a great artist doesn't wait for permission.
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
but
wow.
Nickelodeon's owned by Vitacom CBS.
Okay. All
Just
right.
to
I mean,
throw that
Okay.
in there.
it's the same four companies, and
Okay.
Disney owns ABC, so
Yeah.
Sure.
it's all the same.
Interesting.
If you think of Mickey Mouse as a large like monster that swallows up everything in his path, he's a lot less cuddly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but never mind. I was reading something, but no, they're not owned by Disney technically, but yes.
Who?
Nickelodeon. So Nickelodeon's owned by Viacom International as in 2014. Elsewhere, Disney is owned by Walt Disney. So
The Walt
basically,
Disney
they're saying
Company,
no.
No, yeah, but
Why did they phrase it like that?
they
I was
likely
like,
had own stock in it though. Like
They
Disney,
could've.
like aspects of the company, or the funny thing is, all the board members of these companies all own stock in all these other companies because they just have the money to do so.
Yeah.
So you spread the wealth around to yourself by being part of all of it. So I don't know. It would be very interesting to hear what happened, but that's a documentary. I mean, you could make it, but it's either never going to get released or you better be wearing a bulletproof vest.
Never.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen.
There's too much money at stake. There's too many. It's like. No, I don't want to bring up Maxwell.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like you can't
Right.
do it. It's too dark. It's too the underbelly is too it's too seedy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Now that we're through the depressing stuff, thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.